Welcome, Soulful Heroes. Welcome to another Soulful Conversation with another Soulful Hero. It's my pleasure to share with you my friend, my colleague, my spiritual sister, Lynn Tisza. Welcome, Lynn. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, Christian, thank you. And hi, everyone. It's great to be connected again.
Well, I wonder if we could start by telling us a little bit of your journey because it's a really interesting one, from a very high-powered corporate job in sales management at a national level, and you walked away from all that to follow your passion and your dream as your calling as a healer, using both breathwork and crystals. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. Really, really good time in my life, even today, to be reflecting upon that. So thanks. Thanks for the question. We all need to be reminded of from where we've come, not only in appreciation, but gratitude and like just to see the progress. I think I met you 15 years ago. And about 25 years ago, 10 years before that, I had a pretty powerful experience with crystals. I was on a healing table. I was having a crystal healing session done. And I didn't know much at the time about crystals. I just thought they were really pretty. and at the end of the session, I had such a powerful, tangible, physical, emotional, and spiritual experience that I had to step forward with investigating, purchasing, studying, diving as deep as I could into crystals. It came over me like nothing I'd ever experienced before. So I knew that I needed to put some energy and time into it. And I honestly, I got connected with a guy who was selling crystals, and I started buying them like it was my full-time job.
Well, if you're gonna go that far back, then you gotta tell the story of the girls.
Oh, the rubies. Oh, right. Thank you. So my very first visit, at this guy's business, crystal business, I walked in and picked up a couple of really big, juicy rubies. I actually don't have them right here in front of me, but a lot of folks know about them, and I'm happy to show them off in the future. That these rubies, the moment I picked them up, they were pulsing in my hands. And I had never experienced anything like that before, holding anything, not even a person. And I turned to the individual and said, what are these? And I was told they were rubies. And I said, the next logical question, how much are they? And he told me, and I went, oh, that's nice. And I put them down. And I went on to purchase some other things that day. And then at the end of the first day, I said, when can I come back and get more crystals? And the guy looked at me and was like, whenever you want, like, okay. So I would, even from that first day, I would go home and I would sit with the crystals and a light and this crazy thing called an optivisor. That's like you wear it around your head and it's a magnifying glass. And I would hold the light and hold the crystal and just go into these stones and have this like almost a meditative state and a meditative experience with the crystals. And I can look back now and understand that I was really learning them and studying them at a whole different level than what I was accustomed to in terms of learning. And it was quite remarkable. And then there was my second visit. And I apparently walked in and did the same thing. I came across these rubies. I picked them up. They were pulsing in my hands. And I turned to the individual and I said, what are these? And he said, they're rubies. And I said, how much are they? And he told me, and I put them back down again. This apparently, I don't remember, but they tell the story that this happened 5 or 6 visits in a row. And somewhere around the 5th or 6th visit, they said, how many times are you going to ask us about those rubies? And I said, what are you talking about? I've never seen these before. And they started laughing. It's like, no, you've picked those up just about every time you've been here. I didn't remember. And it's really funny. I did, of course, acquire them, and they are still a very powerful stone for me on a regular basis. Whenever I pick them up, I feel them pulsing in my hands. And it's so interesting now that I am in the business of matching up people with crystals that can support their journey, and even through the changes of the journeys that we take. And I have many people come into my space and say, "Oh my God, that crystal's beautiful. When did you get that in?" And I'm like, "Well, that's what you said the last time you were here." So
Well,
this,
and we should add that at this point in your life, like this was kind of you were kind of in the down low about your crystals. People didn't know about this part of you.
totally, totally. Yeah, I kept this very separate. And I remember, having the opportunity to share my crystals as I would come to the breathwork workshops and retreats with you. You were so supportive and so encouraging of that. And I remember we used to joke, you used to tease me about doing the splits. Like I had my part of my life in this corporate world and part of my life in this crystal world. And then there was this whole other thing happening for me that was emerging with breath work. And I mean, it was so exciting and so much going on all at the same time. I really didn't know what to make of it. And I remember, sort of living two different lives.
Yeah,
And
so let's talk about that because I know you're not the only one,
yeah,
who
yeah,
experienced that, the discomfort, because it's not a comfortable place to be doing the splits,
yeah,
one foot in each reality.
yeah.
So tell us about that journey, and when did the splits become so uncomfortable that you had to do something about it?
Oh my gosh, probably much longer than it needed to be. But it really was, I was integrating somewhat. Like I would do the crystal work on the side, weekends and nights with clients. And as I started learning breath work and apprenticed with you, I was doing breath work on the side, and never did the two, my corporate job and my crystals and breath work never intermingled unless there was somebody who I really felt safe with and that I could trust and talk about it. And of course, they were all in every time I went for it, and like risked that vulnerability and made that sometimes unconscious choice, sometimes conscious choice to include somebody and show them what I was really up to. They were all like, "Gosh, you really need to do this. This is amazing. You have such a knack for it. You have." I mean, lots of compliments, lots of support, but I was still like holding back, holding back. And it really was the breath work that allowed me to push through and, really got my attention in terms of, you know, how when we do the breath work, there's such an expansion and then there's always contraction, but never go back to where I was before. That just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was like, okay, enough, enough. And at the time that it really became enough, I was traveling like a wild banshee with my corporate job. I wasn't happy in it, but I was really stuck. I was really stuck with the corporate salary, the corporate car, the corporate benefits, all that stuff that was like sort of this false sense of identity, this sense of I'm going to be okay in the world. And there was this sort of looming awareness that it really was not safe. And there was this period of time about 8 years ago where I was like, I just really need to step away. And about that same time, my company was going through a restructure, and there was a groundswell. It was supposed to be confidential, but of course, we always find out these things. And about a week before any big announcements were made, I literally was doing breath work and meditation and prayer about cut me loose, cut me loose, cut me loose. And then it happened. I got the phone call and I had the opportunity to stay with the company in a different position, or I had the opportunity to be set free with a very nice golden parachute. And I took it. And I remember I had that phone call. I made my decision. And then 5 minutes later, I called you and I said, "Oh my God, And you went, yay. And I went, oh, right.
Well, talk a little bit more about that, because I mean, it's not easy, especially at the level that you were playing, on the comfort of that biweekly paycheck and that illusion of security that it provides.
Yeah, absolutely.
How, for somebody who might be in that place of being stuck in that, trapped in that gilded cage, and feeling the discomfort of, at the same time, feeling the call to do the real mission level, soul level work as healers, as teachers. From your experience, from current perspective, having navigated all the fears, like, oh my God, how am I going to survive? How am I going to pay the bills, etc.? What can you say to somebody?
Yeah, just jump. The net is there, and you won't see it or even feel it until you jump. It's like part of it's not really magic. We're just not accustomed to it. The universe is designed to support us when we're doing our real work. And I'm telling you, 8 years later, that's still the case. Just last August, actually it was July 4th, I made the decision to once again give up the comfort, give up a great clientele in Indianapolis, give up a great place to live. And I moved to small town USA. I live in Appalachia, Ohio now, population like, I don't know, 7,400. And I brought my crystal business here. I brought my healing work here. And I had no idea what it was going to be like. I just knew I needed to do it. And once you make that first step that seems really big, there's more big steps to make. Just keep making them. And so here I am. It's been a crazy period. I actually officially moved here October 1st. The house that I was scheduled to move into is not available until April 1st, coming up. All my stuff's in storage. I'm living with two really gracious friends of mine. And yet I've started this business here. And people in this small town are clamoring for healing. They're clamoring for crystals. They buy their crystals online, so they're now buying them from me. The healing work has been this like explosion of awareness and greater consciousness. And it might not always be in the language of what I've been accustomed to working with my clients in Indianapolis, but the desire is here and the community is here. And I believe if it's here, it's everywhere. So wherever anybody is, regardless of what they think is going to be available or not available, let the universe decide. We don't have to get into the weeds. We just need to do our work. And then, I don't know if you've seen posted on Facebook, but this dream of having a wellness gathering is happening here at the end of the month in March, where we brought together some healers and practitioners to offer services to people just to expand their concept of wellness, whatever it is for anybody. And I could have, back in August, I couldn't have told you that I was going to do this. I had no idea. That it just became obvious and the need was here and the opportunity came forward. So
I love that. No, and that's part of the reason I wanted to speak with you is, and we'll put a link to your website and to that event if there's anybody who's living in that area.
Yeah.
And to go a little deeper into how you knew, how the second leap was a lot easier than the first leap. And yet it was still a leap from, larger city into a very small town. And so talk about the process of intuition, of guidance that you knew. How did you know?
Yeah. So, one of the key teachings in our breathwork workshops that really, there's so many. Choice is really a big one that still resonates so strongly for me. The whole ego learning. But the other piece of it was that listening to the inner voice and distinguishing how it sounds different than the egoic voice. And they can run real close sometimes, right? But it's that, for me, it's been that voice that erupts, or not erupts, the voice that emerges out of stillness versus insanity. And that's what it was for me. I mean, I was down here visiting in July. It was July 4th weekend. Things have been crazy. We've been doing some events down here, and we had July 4th as a pool day, and I'm laying on a floaty in the pool. And I just had this complete moment of peace that just washed over me. And I've been searching for 3 years. I knew I needed to move. And what move meant, I wasn't quite what move meant. I didn't know quite what that was, but I just knew I needed to move. And I'm laying there on the floaty. I have this peacefulness wash over me. And then I hear this voice that's my voice. And it's this still, clear, peaceful, content, and yet grateful voice that says, "You're moving here." And with that, I fell off my floaty. And I got out of the pool and I walked inside. I made a few notes. And then I reached out to some folks that are, have been longtime mentors of mine, and just started asking some questions. And within a week, everybody responded back to me with their perspective, and they were all separate from each other. Just, hey, here's what's happened. What's pinging for you. So I knew. I mean, even without their feedback, I knew. But it was nice to get the thumbs up from everybody independently.
And I love, by the way, I love your play on words with movement. And yeah, it's you're right. Once we step out of the realm of the ego, we step into another world, another life that we lack the languaging to describe. So we use words like magic or miracles, but it really falls short of the kind of thing you're talking about and you're living. Beautiful. One thing that I want to make sure that we talk about is, because I love your relationship with the crystals. I mean, you and I kid about the kids, but your kids. Because I love the story when you go to one of these big rock or stone shows, the mega stores in Denver or wherever you go, that you actually pick each one of them, like you hold them and you connect with them and you feel its energy. And no matter how beautiful it might seem objectively, if there's not connection, you leave it.
Yep, I do. Absolutely. And I just had another amazing trip this past end of January, early February. I was out in Tucson, and actually had the pleasure of bringing a mentee with me, and she's back in Indianapolis, and it's just been a lot of fun to continue the work in the way that I do it. It's not just about buying a bunch of crystals and selling them at a certain price, or throwing them out online, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm real clear that that's not how it works for me. That I handpick every single crystal based on, of course, its beauty, but equally, what is the energy of that crystal? And is it my job to bring it back? Because wherever I'm going to be, whether it's a breathwork retreat, McConnellsville, Ohio, Indianapolis, New York City, wherever I'm going, am I that catalyst to get it to the right person? Whether it's somebody renovating their kitchen and they need crystals in between the walls and the 2x4s. I've just done a number of those for folks, or it's something they need in their office because there's some energy shift that needs to take place at their desk or down the hall or at their entryway. Whatever it is, homes, offices. It's quite a privilege for me to connect with people, understand what it is they're looking for, and then connect with each crystal that I'm responsible for, getting it to where it ultimately needs to live. It's like,
Love that. I love that. It's like you're a matchmaker.
Yeah, I'm a matchmaker. I match up crystals with their peeps.
Yeah. So to that end, I know people can order virtually. Can you give us, and I know it's not your permanent place yet,
Yeah.
The studio is going to be much more beautiful, like you had it in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Can you give us a short tour, see what you
Ah,
got? See
sure.
who you're
Yeah, I
playing with?
sure can. I can. And we're a little under construction in part of the area, but as you can see behind me, there's some sweet, sweet treasures. We've got some azurite and malachite and copper. And then here we've got some dendritic agate with some fossils and a beautiful Buddha head with Amazon.
I love the Buddha head with the sphere inside.
Like, right? Like, we put we often will have this with a rose quartz. So it's this reminder that even with the understanding we have of the ego, remember to love our mind. Like it has its place. It has it has a need. So that piece, that's been a lot of fun for us too. And then there's some pretty sweet goodness over here. Here we have some selenite slabs with some amethyst.
Beautiful.
These selenite slabs are such powerful energy promoters, taking everything up to its highest vibration. And then, of course, amethyst is the master healer. So these are some delightful, almost everything here is new except one piece. And then I'm going to take you downstairs because what's been so fun about this transition to McConnellsville is my dear friend and his partner own an urban lavender farm. And
Wow.
when I say urban, they have farm property here, quite a bit of it. They tried lavender out at the farm, but the soil wasn't right for it. So just, trying out new things, they brought lavender into the town. And they have, I think you'll be able to see it. It's not lavender season right now, but can you see the backyard?
Yeah, beautiful.
So that whole backyard is lavender. And the house I'm moving into, the entire backyard is lavender too. So as you go through the town, you see lavender everywhere. We're thinking about making it the lavender capital of Ohio. So here are, make sure we can see. So we have a shop here on the first floor that's lavender and crystals. Got some of our tumble pieces here. I'm not sure what you can see.
Yeah, no, we can see it. It looks,
Okay,
it looks
good.
beautiful.
All right. Some beautiful copper. We've got also some agate, all kinds of goodness. Yeah, there's just a lot of beautiful pieces. And then we have some extended information about lavender also.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's really been just a great adventure. And we're just having a lot of fun. And the community is well receiving of all of it and excited about it. And things are happening.
I love it, Lynn. Congratulations and many, many, many blessings.
Thank you so much.
And I love seeing and being a witness of your progress. Like I remember when you first started going to Tucson on these rock shows as a mentee with somebody to show you the ropes, because these things, I've never been, but from hearing you talk about it, it's like, it's overwhelming how big they are.
Yeah, it's so fun. So many people say, oh, I want to go. And it's like, okay, that's cool. It's just, you come home and it's quite a bit, but.
And now you have a mentee. Now you're doing it for somebody else. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that has been, but there's just so many little vignettes about that have really been fun. Yeah, we've had a great time.
I love it. We're intentionally keeping these short and sweet. And we'll definitely have a link for people to get in touch with you.
Okay.
Any final words?
Yeah, no, the Facebook is, we're up on Facebook under elevating consciousness. And that's the best way to connect with me and or email, which is also on there. And yeah, I'm happy to work with anybody, do remote work. Also doing remote crystal healing work. That's been a lot of fun too. And a lot of great progress for folks as they're moving along on their journey. So
good.
quite a treasure. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Good to see you, even if it's virtually. And thanks for sharing your time, your kids with us, your journey, your story, and your encouragement for somebody who might be on that same journey of making that important choice to follow the calling of the soul.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I guess my closing offering would be, it's not just once. The soul will keep calling. The more we listen to it, the more it will guide. So have faith.
I love that.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thanks again.
All right. Great to see you, babe.